The underestimation commander, Vextel, adjusted his ceremonial armor as he gazed out from the observation deck of the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Dominion. The vast expanse of space stretched before him, dotted with the lights of his massive fleet. 400 star systems bowed to the Zephyrian Empire, and today would mark the beginning of their 401st conquest. The Zephyrian Empire had perfected the art of galactic domination over 3 millennia. Their approach was methodical, efficient, and utterly ruthless. First came the deep space reconnaissance drones, mapping every inhabited world within 1,000 light-years. Then the assessment teams would evaluate each civilization's technological level, military capabilities, and potential resistance. Finally, the conquest fleets would arrive with precisely calculated force to ensure swift victory with minimal Zephyrian casualties. Vextel had overseen 47 such conquests in his career. The pattern never varied. Lesser species would either surrender immediately upon seeing the approaching armada, or they would mount a brief, futile resistance before inevitable subjugation. The Zephyrian war machine was a thing of terrible beauty, honed by centuries of experience and backed by technology that made them virtually unstoppable. Commander, his aide, Lieutenant Chiron, approached with a datapad. The final reconnaissance. Report on the 3rd planet of the Sol system has arrived. Vextel accepted the device with casual interest. Earth, such a simple name for what appeared to be an unremarkable world. The initial scans had been so unimpressive that the Empire had nearly passed it by entirely. Only a routine deep space. The monitoring station had flagged it for basic evaluation. The report painted a picture of a primitive civilization barely emerging from its industrial age. The inhabitants called themselves humans, and they had only recently developed nuclear technology. Their fastest vessels could barely escape their own gravity well, and their weapons systems were laughably crude by Zephyrian standards. Most amusing of all, the species seemed incapable of global unity, constantly engaging in petty conflicts among themselves. Threat assessment, Vextel asked, though he already knew the answer. Negligible, sir. Primitive agricultural world with basic metallurgy and chemical propulsion. Estimated pacification time, 6 hours. Recommended force allocation, minimal. Vextel nodded approvingly. The assessment team had done their job well. Earth would require only a token force to demonstrate Zephyrian superiority. Perhaps a single battle group would suffice. The humans would likely surrender the moment they witnessed the technological gap between their civilizations. Prepare the standard ultimatum, Vextel ordered. We'll broadcast it on all their communication frequencies. Give them the usual time frame for surrender. 3 hours later, the Zephyrian transmission reached Earth on every radio, television, and digital frequency simultaneously. The message was clear and uncompromising. Inhabitants of the 3rd planet, you have been selected for integration into the Zephyrian Empire. Surrender unconditionally within 24 hours, and you will be granted the privilege of serving our glorious civilization. Resist and face annihilation. The response came exactly 24 hours later, not from Earth's fractured governments or military leaders, but simultaneously from every major city, every communication hub, and every satellite in orbit. The message was brief, spoken in perfect Zephyrian by a calm female voice. No, that was all one word. No explanation, no negotiation, no plea for mercy. Just a simple, absolute refusal that echoed across the galaxy as monitoring stations picked up the transmission. In the command center of the Eternal Dominion, the bridge crew exchanged glances of disbelief. In 3,000 years of expansion, no species had ever responded to their ultimatum with such brazen simplicity. Usually, there were desperate diplomatic overtures, offers of tribute, or at least some attempt at negotiation. Vextel felt his chitinous features flush with indignation. These primitives dared to mock the Empire with their insolence. Very well, they would learn the price of defying Zephyrian authority. Deploy Battle Group 7, he commanded. 40 ships should be more than sufficient to demonstrate our superiority. Begin with orbital bombardment of their major population centers. We'll save a few cities to serve as examples to future conquests. The Zephyrian fleet moved with practiced precision. 40 sleek vessels, each bristling with weapons that could level continents, descended toward Earth's solar system. Their approach was deliberately visible to Earth's primitive senses, designed to inspire terror and last-minute surrender. As the fleet crossed the orbit of Mars, something unexpected happened. The lead destroyer, Swift Retribution, simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, leaving only a brief flare of radiation and debris. Report, Vextel barked. Unknown, sir. No energy signatures detected. No incoming projectiles. The ship just ... disappeared. Before anyone could process this information, 2 more vessels blinked out of existence, then 5 more. The remaining ships of Battle Group 7 began evasive maneuvers, but it made no difference. Whatever was destroying them operated beyond their understanding. Emergency jump to hyperspace. Vextel ordered. Unable to comply, sir. Something is interfering with our jump drives. The destruction of Battle Group 7 took exactly 7 minutes. 40 advanced Zephyrian warships, each capable of conquering a star system, were systematically eliminated without the attackers ever being detected. The few fragments recovered by automated drones showed impossible weapon signatures and materials that shouldn't exist according to Zephyrian physics. In the depths of space, hidden monitoring stations throughout the galaxy recorded the event. The impossible had happened. The Zephyrian Empire, masters of galactic warfare, had lost an entire battle group to a primitive species that supposedly couldn't even achieve faster-than-light travel. Vextel stood in stunned silence as the reports flooded in. Earth's response to the destruction of Battle Group 7 came immediately. The same calm voice that had delivered their initial refusal now spoke with quiet authority. Commander Vextel of the Zephyrian Empire, your assessment was incorrect. We are not primitive. We are not defenseless. We are not afraid. You have 7 minutes to withdraw your remaining forces from our solar system before we demonstrate why your evaluation was so catastrophically wrong. The transmission included detailed intelligence on Zephyrian fleet positions, classified Empire communications, and tactical data that should have been impossible for humans to obtain. Somehow, these primitives had infiltrated the most secure networks in the galaxy. Vextel felt something he had never experienced in his long military career. Genuine fear. The certainty that had carried him through 47 conquests crumbled as he realized the magnitude of his error. Earth wasn't a primitive agricultural world. It was a trap, and he had walked directly into it. Sir, his communications officer reported with a trembling voice, we're receiving thousands of signals from Earth. They're not random transmissions. They're targeting solutions. The final 7 minutes began with Earth's true defensive network coming online. What the Zephyrians had mistaken for primitive satellite networks revealed their actual purpose. hundreds of orbital platforms, disguised as communication arrays and weather satellites, transformed into weapon systems of incomprehensible sophistication. The human response was surgical and absolute. Zephyrian ships found their shields drained by energy weapons that phased through conventional defenses. Their hulls were pierced by projectiles that seemed to bend space-time itself. Their computer systems were invaded by artificial intelligences that rewrote their programming in real time. The eternal dominion, pride of the Zephyrian fleet, lasted longest due to its massive shields and armor. But even this mighty dreadnought could not withstand the coordinated assault that came from every direction simultaneously. Weapons fired from the lunar surface, from hidden installations on Mars, from ships that appeared to materialize from nothing as his flagship died around him. Vextal managed to send one final transmission to Zephyrian High Command. Earth is not what we believed. They are not primitive. They are not weak. They are something else entirely. Do not underestimate them. Do not attack them. Do not. The transmission ended as the Eternal Dominion broke apart, its quantum generators overloading in a flash of light, visible from 3 star systems away. Exactly 14 minutes after the first Zephyrian ship had been destroyed, Earth's defensive network went silent. The Sol system returned to apparent normalcy, its inhabitants continuing their daily lives as if nothing had happened. But across the galaxy, the impossible news spread. The Zephyrian Empire's most powerful fleet had been completely annihilated by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The age of human isolation was over. The galaxy would never be the same. The impossible victory. The emergency session of the Zephyrian High Council convened in the sacred chambers of the Imperial Palace on Zephyr Prime for the first time in 3 millennia. The Council faced a crisis that threatened the very foundation of their empire. High Chancellor Morden, his usually composed demeanor cracked with stress, addressed the gathered military and political leaders. 43 vessels, he began, his voice heavy with disbelief, including the Eternal Dominion, gone in 14 minutes, no survivors. No distress signals after the first engagement. The humans have achieved what no enemy in our history has accomplished. Fleet Admiral Yokstar, the Empire's most experienced military commander, studied the tactical displays with growing horror. The weapon signatures make no sense. Energy readings beyond our measurement scales. Projectiles that ignore our shield frequencies. Most disturbing of all, they appeared to know our exact positions and capabilities before we entered their system. General Kate Moss, head of Imperial Intelligence, provided the most chilling revelation. Our analysis suggests the humans have been monitoring our communications for decades. They knew we were coming. They prepared specifically for us. This was not a desperate defense, it was a carefully planned demonstration. The room fell silent. As the implications sank in, the Zephyrian Empire had built its dominance on technological superiority and superior intelligence. If a primitive species could penetrate their most secure networks and develop weapons that made their fleets obsolete, what did that mean for their other conquests? "Sir," a communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission. From Earth, it's being broadcast on all galactic frequencies simultaneously." The holographic display activated, showing a middle-aged human woman in a simple blue uniform. Her expression was calm, almost serene, but her eyes held depths of intelligence that made the assembled Zephyrians uncomfortable. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen, speaking for the people of Earth. We know you're listening. Not just Zephyrian High Command, but representatives of civilizations throughout the galaxy." What happened today was not an act of aggression. It was a response to aggression. We did not seek this conflict, but we were prepared for it. The transmission paused, and the camera pulled back to reveal a vast command center filled with humans working at stations displaying star charts, fleet movements, and diplomatic communications from across the galaxy. For 50 years, we have watched the Zephyrian Empire expand through conquest and subjugation. We have seen entire civilizations crushed beneath their advance. We have monitored their communications, studied their technology, and prepared for the day they would turn their attention to us. Today, that preparation was tested. Admiral Chen gestured to a massive holographic display showing the solar system. What you witnessed was not the full extent of our capabilities. It was a measured response, calibrated to eliminate a threat while demonstrating our position to the galaxy. We do not wish to conquer. We do not seek to build an empire. We simply refuse to be conquered. The transmissions switched to show scenes from Earth cities bustling with activity, children playing in parks, families gathering for meals. The contrast with the devastating military display was jarring and intentional. Humanity has spent 10,000 years learning to cooperate despite our differences. We have fought wars that taught us the true cost of conflict. We have built societies that value both individual freedom and collective responsibility. These lessons prepared us not for conquest, but for defense of those values. Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's chief strategist, appeared alongside Admiral Chen. His scholarly appearance belied the brilliant military mind that had orchestrated the defense of Earth. The Zephyrian Empire made a fundamental error in their assessment of humanity. They saw our conflicts and assumed weakness. They observed our diversity and interpreted it as division. They detected our emotional responses and concluded we were irrational. They were wrong on all counts. The display showed human technological achievements: fusion reactors, quantum computers, genetic engineering, and artificial intelligence systems that surpassed anything the Zephyrians had developed. Our conflicts taught us strategy. Our diversity gave us multiple perspectives on every problem. Our emotions provided the motivation to achieve the impossible. When faced with extinction, humans do not surrender. We adapt. We innovate. We overcome. The transmission then revealed the true scope of human preparation: hidden bases on asteroids, cloaked ships patrolling the outer solar system, and most shocking of all, human agents embedded in Zephyrian society itself. We have been among you for 20 years, Admiral Chen continued, not as conquerors, but as observers. We learned your languages, studied your culture, and prepared for peaceful first contact. When that proved impossible, we prepared for war. But even now, we extend an offer of peace. The offer was simple and shocking in its generosity. Earth would share its technological advances with any civilization that renounced conquest and embraced cooperation. The Zephyrian Empire could maintain its territory but must end its expansion and grant independence to any world that requested it. We offer this not from weakness, but from strength, not from fear, but from hope. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to prosper, but only if we choose cooperation over conquest. The transmission ended with a final warning that chilled the assembled Zephyrian leaders. To those who would continue the old ways of domination and subjugation, know that Earth is watching. We have friends among the stars now, former victims of the Empire who see a new path forward. The age of conquest is ending. The age of cooperation has begun. Within hours of the transmission, the galaxy transformed. 17 star systems declared independence from the Zephyrian Empire. Former enemies formed defensive alliances. Trade routes that had been controlled by military force opened to free commerce. The balance of power that had existed for millennia shifted permanently. On Zephyr Prime, High Chancellor Morden faced the hardest decision in his civilization's history. The Empire could attempt to maintain its dominance through force, but the cost would be enormous. Earth had demonstrated that human technology was decades ahead of Zephyrian capabilities. Moreover, the diplomatic revolution spreading across the galaxy meant the Empire would face not just human resistance, but a coalition of former subjects armed with human technology. The alternative was equally difficult to contemplate. The Zephyrian Empire could accept Earth's offer and transform itself from a military dictatorship into a peaceful member of a galactic community. It would mean abandoning 3,000 years of imperial tradition, but it might also mean survival. Fleet Admiral Yokstar provided the deciding argument. Chancellor, our military analysts estimate that direct confrontation with Earth would result in the complete destruction of our fleet. Within hours, they possess weapons we cannot counter and defensive systems we cannot penetrate. But more importantly, they possess something we lost long ago, the moral authority that comes from defending rather than attacking. 1 month after the 40th War, the Zephyrian Empire signed the Terran Accords, formally ending their expansion and recognizing the independence of their former subjects. The ceremony was held not on Zephyr Prime, but on Earth. In a simple conference room overlooking the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Chen signed for humanity, her signature marking the end of one era and the beginning of another. As she set down her pen, she looked across the table at the former Chancellor of the Zephyrian Empire. "Chancellor Morden," she said quietly, "we hope this is the beginning of a friendship between our peoples. Humanity has learned that former enemies can become the closest allies when they share common values." The Zephyrian leader, still adjusting to his new role as an ambassador rather than a conqueror, nodded thoughtfully. "Admiral Chen, your species has taught us that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to build. We have much to learn from you." As the ceremony concluded and the assembled delegates departed, Earth's message to the galaxy was clear. Humanity had emerged from isolation not as conquerors, but as guardians of the principle that all sapient beings deserved freedom and dignity. The 14 minutes that had destroyed a fleet had also destroyed the idea that might makes right. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where cooperation would triumph over conquest, where diversity would be celebrated rather than suppressed, and where the lessons learned from a small blue planet would guide civilizations toward a brighter future among the stars. In the end, Earth's greatest victory was not the destruction of the Zephyrian fleet, but the transformation of the galaxy itself. The humans had proven that sometimes the greatest act of war is teaching others the value of peace.